Hi there, here I am again. Day 3. Yes. I called the last video day 3, but it was actually day 2 because the surgery is on Thursday. So if Saturday was the marker, that would mean Friday, Saturday. So that was actually day 2, and today, being Sunday, is day 3. And the eye feels less swollen. The vision remains very good. Excuse me. It's quite red still. I do have a dose of drops to go in shortly, and it's a cold day outside, so I've got my dinner and I'm just resting again. It's hard for someone like me, as Rowan Connell said. In our line of work, we rely on our eyes, and I have submitted the final copy edits of an article about transorganising across different parts of our global south, excuse me, which takes in an organisation based in Kolkata, another in El Salvador, and also organising here amongst First Nations peoples who identify as sister girls in Central Australia and Tiwi Islands. So it's an ambitious contribution to decolonial trans, and it will help inform what goes in my book kind of under that banner. It's not exclusively about, trans lives understood from a liberal framework, but instead from the basis of land, kinship, relations, understanding justice in those terms, not just in liberal terms, accommodationist or otherwise, of rights, but instead sovereignties of various kinds. It also provides a bit of a political economy, trans-political economy analysis. I'm building on previous work of mine and also others. Excuse me. So that's what is going to appear this year. I saw a great position announcement for a job with someone who would be coordinating communications and interfacing with organisations that work on family violence, but particularly with these two interlocking orgs. I won't name them, but they're based in Melbourne, who want to bring into conversation and awareness and I guess recommendations and policy formation, the realities of the experience of family violence for trans and gender diverse individuals. That's very much my call. It's what I've been really scoping out in a number of presentations here in Australia and outside of Australia, community-based research, but also understanding the realities of people with whom I connect in communities, and that features Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders and other peoples of colour, including from immigrant backgrounds. So it's based in Melbourne, and I can't leave to potentially take up such a position where I to interview. But it's encouraging to see that space open, and I really have been scanning about to see what kind of interlocution or connectivity across organisations might make up for the gaps, especially when it comes to LGBTQ plus and people of colour and their experiences navigating social systems when they experience interlocking forms of violence. So maybe it just bodes well for the future. I admire the grit and gumption of the organisation for getting this up, and I sent a note of congratulations because it's pretty amazing. Yeah, within some liberal trans organising, we can't mention this also lived and living experiences, and from some, I guess, trans colour of scholarship perspectives, it kind of encompasses topics that go beyond trans joy, right? And that bring in the terrible we, to use Cameron Awkward Richards, Awkward Rich's phrase, the things that are considered to be negative affect, to use Hill Martino's phrase, side effects, and curating this idea of a normative trans subject, which is often white, and that's what's sort of signposted in imagery and the idealism behind such campaigns, even if they do include people of colour. But it erases the multiple intersecting forms of violence, including family violence, that a range of subjects who are trans and gender diverse face, and a lack of institutional coordination and response across the domain of housing, sexuality and gender identity based organisations and advocacy. I've definitely detected that in my role as peer support worker. People have told me stories that really inform me that whilst the dial has shifted, especially around questions of trauma and trauma-informed responses from the 90s till now, in the 90s, I was in this situation, and there was no concept of trauma response and how to adequately create capacity around that, including in housing services and sexual assault services. But it seems that things are, at least in Melbourne, evolving in the right direction, and I feel really good about that. But I do think that we need more of a research base as well. Not to say that they don't, or that role wouldn't entail that. But in Sydney we need it. Yeah, we do. For sister girl communities that have internally migrated, for other Aboriginal LGBTQ people, and also those of migrant experience, who live through housing instability and have tentative relations with family and maybe a background of family violence as well. So all in all, I've still got my thinking cap on. I'm giving my eye considerable rest, and I'm not writing at the moment, but I'm keen to move forward with some of this work because I think it's a threshold moment in rethinking not just trans justice, but also how we do our work and in which areas. So anyway, if other people are doing this and I'm just missing the boat in terms of what exists, obviously for refugees as well, let me know. I mean, across the board, not just here in Australia. Thanks for listening.